was a bright sunny morning when Hakeim, a humble and hardworking farmer, clenched his callous hands around a small box in his pocket. After 30 years of marriage, we wanted to surprise the love of his life. He knew the gift needed to be as special as the promise he had made decades ago to love her. Forever he had saved for years, faced challenges. But on that day, he was determined it was the moment to make his wife feel like the most special woman in the world. He had never set foot in a luxury store before. The dazzling storefronts intimidated him, but his determination was stronger. While Hakeim walked through those doors unaware that something so simple could turn into a nightmare, he found himself at the center of a humiliating situation, while everyone round him watched in silence. But there was someone there who never took their eyes off him. Someone who was about to change everything. What happened next left everyone in the store speechless and turned the tables in a way no one could have predicted. You won't believe what happened, and you do. You believe that? Great love stories can overcome any obstacles. Share in the comments how you would surprise someone special. We stepped into the store with hesitant steps, but his resolve remained steady. Approaching the counter, he carefully studied the rings displayed, searching for the one that could symbolize all the love he felt for Anna. Before he could utter a word, he noticed the judgmental stares around him. "Can I help you?" the salesman asked, his tone dripping with disdain as he crossed his arms and sized way up from head to toe. "I'd like to see a ring, something special for my wife," replied, his voice firm but tinged with nervousness. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out the tin where he had carefully stored his savings, unaware of the reaction it would provoke. The salesman smirked as he caught sight of the dented tin. "You're serious? You want to buy a ring here with asterisk?" "That asterisk?" Wei remained calm. "I've been saving for years. This gift is important, please. Show me that ring over there," he said, pointing to a simple yet elegant model in the showcase. But his words only fueled the salesman's disdain. The salesman let out a short laugh, throwing his head back before turning to his colleagues. "Did you all hear that? He thinks he can buy something here with his tin can money." We tightened his grip on the tin, but stood his ground. "I can pay," he insisted. The salesman retrieved the ring from the display, but held it mockingly in his fingers without handing it over. He twirled it theatrically under the light as if taunting. "With this ring, here sir, it costs more than you'd make in 5 years, and that's if you could sell every chicken on your farm." Nearby, customers began to laugh. Some whispered to each other while others stared openly at me with disdain. Another employee chimed in loud enough for all to. "He does. He think this is a market. Maybe he wants to trade some chickens for jewelry." The laughter grew louder. Even so, Wim didn't back down. "I worked hard to be here today. Have money? Maybe not as much as you expect, but I can pay for this ring," he said, trying to maintain his dignity. The salesman laughed again, this time louder. "And I've heard enough. Look at yourself with those clothes, those hands. Do you really think you belong here? Frankly, I don't even know how they let you in." We felt his face burn with shame, but he held his ground. "I just want a gift for me wife. I don't need you to treat me like this." The salesman stepped forward, glaring at him. "You know what you need. Mirror maybe, then you'll realize you'll never be a customer in a place like this. Get out before we have to call security." Haki tried one last time to explain. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want something special for my wife." The sales, now impatient, slapped Wei's hand away from the counter. Not hard, but the humiliation was worse than a physical blow. "I've told you to leave before you dirty something with those hands. Go find a little shop more suited to you. Maybe down at the corner market." For a moment, the entire store fell silent, only for the laughter to erupt once again. Hakeim, defeated, lowered his head and began to walk toward the door. As Hakeim left, trying to conceal his shame, a figure in the corner of the store, previously unnoticed, slowly stood up. The man, dressed simply, adjusted his jacket and began walking toward the counter, where the salesman was still laughing. When the man finally stopped next to the counter, the store fell completely silent. The voice that followed was firm and unmistakable. "Now it's my turn to speak." All eyes turned to the man. With a mix of surprise and curiosity, Keanu Reeves stood before them, and what he would do next would change everything inside the store. While the salesman laughed at Wayne and customers whispered amongst themselves, Keanu Reeves sat in a quiet corner, wearing simple clothes and a baseball cap, to remain unnoticed. He observed everything with a sharp, unwavering gaze. His expression showed discomfort. He couldn't stand the scene unfolding. Before him, Keanu had always been keenly aware of the injustices in the world. What he witnessed, a humble man summoning every ounce of courage and determination, to Bether being treated so cruelly was unbearable. Still, he waited. Timing was everything. As Hakeim walked past him toward the door, head hung low, Keanu stood up, slowly adjusting his cap. He followed the farmer outside, leaving. Behind the laughter and murmurs of this store, Hakeim stood on the sidewalk, taking deep breaths, trying to push away the humiliation and defeat. The cruel words of the salesman echoed in his mind, blending with the sound of the mocking laughter from the customers. "Hey," came a calm, firm voice. From behind him, Hakeim turned to see a tall man with a welcoming yet unassuming appearance. He didn't recognize Keanu. Immediately, all he noticed was the compassion in the stranger's eyes. "I saw what happened in there. Keanu said they shouldn't have treated you like that." Embarrassed, Hakeim tried to downplay the situation. Maybe they were right. Maybe I don't belong in a place like that. That's not true." Keanu replied, his tone firm but kind. "You have every right to be anywhere you choose and to be treated with respect." Hakeim hesitated, but the sincerity in Keanu's eyes encouraged him to speak. "I just wanted something special for my wife. We've been married for 30 years, and I saved for a long time to buy that ring. I didn't think it would be this hard." Keanu crossed his arms, reflecting for a moment. "You love your wife a lot, don't you? More than anything." Hakeim said, his eyes shimmering with emotion. "She's been by my side through the worst times, and I wanted to show her that even after all this time, her love still means everything to me." Keanu smiled softly. "That's the most valuable thing. There is more valuable than any ring in that store." Was shrugged, trying to hold back tears. "But I wanted her to have something beautiful, something that shows how special she is." Keanu placed a hand on Hakeim's shoulder and with a determined look said, "Let's go back in there. This can't end like this." Hakeim hesitated. "I don't think I can face them again. They trust me." Keanu interrupted, his reassuring smile returning. "I'll handle it." The two began walking back toward the store, attracting curious glances from passers-by, while Hakeim still didn't understand who this man was. But there was something different about him, something that gave a renewed sense of courage. As they approached the store's glass doors, Hakeim glanced at Keanu, who nodded as if to say, "It's going to be okay." Inside, the salesman was still laughing with a group of colleagues, completely unaware of the storm brewing just outside. Keanu's expression shifted, his usual calm demeanor now tinged with determination. Hakeim hesitated just before entering, but Keanu placed a steadying hand on his back. You've done nothing wrong, remember that." As they walked through the doors, the room fell into a hushed silence. The contrast between Hakeim's worn clothes and Keanu's composed, confident stride was striking. Customers stopped what they were doing, sensing that something significant was about to happen. Keanu locked eyes with the salesman, who was mid-laugh. Slowly, the salesman's grin faded as he noticed the quiet shift in the room. "Can I help you?" the salesman asked, his previous arrogance now tinged with confusion. Keanu didn't respond. Immediately, he took a deliberate step closer to the counter, his calm presence filling the room with an unexpected tension. The salesman glanced nervously at his colleagues, unsure of how to proceed. Hakeim stood slightly behind Keanu, unsure of what would happen next. Keanu leaned casually against the counter, his voice steady but sharp. "I couldn't help but notice how you treated this man." Keanu began, his eyes as never leaving the salesman. "And I have to ask, do you always treat your customers this way, or was today special?" The salesman blinked, caught off guard. I didn't mean." Keanu cut him off with a raised hand. "You didn't mean to. That's interesting because it looked pretty intentional." The room was utterly silent. Customers watched intently, some whispering to each other as they began to recognize Keanu's eyes shifted uncomfortably. But Keanu glanced back at him, briefly offering a reassuring nod. Keanu turned back to the salesman, his tone now firm and authoritative. You had the audacity to humiliate this man, someone who came here with nothing but respect and determination. You laughed at him, mocked him, and tried to make him feel small. The salesman's face turned red as he stammered, I didn't think. No, you didn't think. Keanu said, his voice rising slightly. But it's time you learn something. True worth has nothing to do with money or appearance. Keanu straightened up, his calm demeanor replaced by an undeniable presence of authority. He gestured toward the ring. Hakeim had pointed out earlier. Now let's see that ring again. The salesman hesitated, glancing nervously at his colleagues and the growing crowd of onlookers. He slowly reached for the ring, but his hands trembled. Keanu's eyes bore into him as he added, because this man deserves it, and trust me, you're going to treat him with the respect he's owed. Hakeim watched in awe, still unsure of who this mysterious man was. The room seemed to hold its breath as the salesman handed over the ring, his face pale and his confidence shattered. What happened next would not only change Hakeim's day, it would change the lives of everyone in the store Keanu had just begun. The store's doors swung open once again, and Hakeim stepped inside, this time alongside Keanu Reeves. Keanu's confident demeanor contrasted sharply with Hakeim's lingering nervousness. But now there was a difference, a sense of support. Every eye in the store turned to them, including the salesman who had humiliated Hakeim moments earlier. The salesman squinted, not immediately, recognizing Keanu, and smirked with mockery. Oh, back again? Think you'll get treated differently this time? Keanu stepped forward, positioning himself between the salesman and Hakeim. His gaze was cold and resolute, and his voice was calm, but commanded. What you did was unacceptable. Treating someone with disrespect just because you think they don't belong here, that says more about you than it does about him. The salesman hesitated for a moment, but tried to maintain his arrogant tone. Sir, with all due respect, this store has standards. We can't waste time on people who clearly can't afford it. Keanu's expression turned into a wry smile. Standards? It seems the only standard here is a lack of humanity. He glanced around, noticing the other customers and employees, now fully focused on the scene. You think you can judge people by how they look? Is that what you call luxury? Keanu turned to Hakeim and asked, which ring did you choose? Hakeim pointed to the simple ring that had caught his eye earlier. Keanu walked to the counter, locking eyes with the salesman. I'd like him to see that ring. Now reluctantly, the salesman picked up the ring and placed it on the counter, his movement stiff and uneasy. Keanu picked up the piece and held it out to Hakeim. Is this what you want to give your wife? Hakeim nodded, his eyes welling up with tears. It's perfect. Keanu placed the ring back on the counter and looked at the salesman, his tone sharp. You know, under normal circumstances, I'd buy this ring right now. But I have a question for you. He leaned slightly closer to the counter, pausing. Dramatically, you work on commission here, don't you? The salesman stammered, tempting to respond, yes. But, Keanu interrupted, his smirk icy. What a mistake, what a huge mistake. The room fell silent. The salesman's eyes widened in panic before he could respond. Keanu turned to Hakeim, speaking loud enough for everyone to hear. Let's leave your loves. Money doesn't belong in a place like this, Hakeim. And Keanu walked out of the store, ignoring the stunned gazes and whispers behind them as they strolled down the street. Keanu noticed another jewelry store, a smaller, cozier shop. With a welcoming atmosphere, they stepped inside and were greeted warmly by a smiling attendant who immediately asked how she could help. We shared his story, his voice still heavy with emotion, and the attendant's expression softened with genuine empathy. I think I have the perfect ring for you, she said, leading them to a special display. Hakeim's eyes lit up as he found a ring even more beautiful than the one he had seen in the first store. And the best part, the attendant treated him with kindness and admiration. Keanu observed from the side, a satisfied smile on his face as Hakeim carefully counted out his savings to pay for the ring. Keanu discreetly covered the remaining amount, ensuring Hakeim wouldn't notice. For Keanu, this wasn't about the money. It was about restoring the dignity of a man who deserved far more than he had been given earlier. Before leaving the new store, Hakeim held the ring in his hands and looked at Keanu with heartfelt gratitude. I'll never forget what you did for me today. Thank you. Keanu smiled, placing a reassuring hand on Hakeim's shoulder. The love you feel for your wife is already the most valuable gift you could ever give her. This ring is just a symbol of that. As they stepped outside, Keanu paused for a moment, glancing back at the facade of the jewelry store where they had been humiliated with a firm gaze. He said, "Sometimes people need to learn the hard way that a person's worth is never in their appearance or the weight of their wallet." By the next morning, the events of the luxury store had begun circulating on social media. A customer who had been present secretly recorded part of the interaction between Keanu Reeves, the salesman, and Hakeim. The video quickly gained traction, capturing the attention of viewers worldwide. The clip featured the moment when Keanu said, "What a mistake, what a huge mistake," and it became an iconic statement against arrogance and prejudiced. People from all walks of life shared the video, inspired by Keanu's defense of Hakeim. He not only restored the dignity of a humble man, but delivered a powerful lesson about respect and humanity. Online reactions poured in. This is what it means to use your fame for good. Keanu is the ultimate example of humility and humanity. Hakeim's love and courage. Courage brought tears to my eyes. We need more stories like this. The incident garnered so much attention that it reached the upper management of the luxury store. The store's owner, a prominent businessman, felt compelled to address the situation. Publicly, he held a press conference and issued an apology. "We deeply regret the incident that occurred in our store. This is not the type of behavior we promote, and steps have already been taken to ensure such actions will not happen again. The employee responsible has been terminated." Meanwhile, Wayne returned to his modest farm with the ring in hand, eager to surprise Anna, unaware of the scale his story had reached. He felt a sense of accomplishment and peace. He had achieved his goal thanks to Keanu's help. On the evening of their 30th wedding anniversary, Wayne prepared a simple yet heartfelt surprise. He decorated their backyard with candles and flowers, creating a warm, intimate setting under the stars. Anna, unsuspecting, was called outside as she stepped through the door. Her face lit up with amazement. "Hakeim, what's all this? Did you do this by yourself?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with emotion. Hakeim smiled softly. "It took some effort, but it's nothing compared to everything you've done for me over the past 30 years. Sit down. There's something I need to tell you." As Anna sat at the table, Wayne held her hands. His voice trembled slightly, but every word was filled with sincerity. "Anna, our life has been simple, but full of stories. We've had hard times, nights when we didn't know what the next day would bring. But in every single moment you were my strength. You stood by me even when I had nothing to offer but my love." As Wayne and Anna celebrated their renewed vows in the quiet of their home, the story of their love and Keanu's actions continued to inspire people around the world. Anna squeezed his hand gently, her expression encouraging. "This is your chance to show the world what love and dignity really mean." Meanwhile, Keanu, back at his home, sat in silence as he watched the viral video again. A faint smile crossed his face as he replayed the moment when Wayne stood tall in the face of humiliation. Sometimes, he thought aloud, the greatest luxury in life isn't found in expensive things or extravagant places. It's in love, courage, and humanity. What Wayne taught me is that the worth of a person should never be measured by what they wear or what they carry in their pocket, and I hope we all remember that. And you? What would you do to show your love for someone special? Share your story in the comments and subscribe for more inspiring tales like this.